thoughts on the entire MVP MMA card. Have you seen that and what you think?
The entire what?
MVP MMA card, the Rousey Carano.
Full
no,
card. No. What's the question? Have I seen it?
Yeah, just what your thoughts on them? Because they actually put in some prospects, and it's not just older fighters and stuff like that.
You want me to break down the MVP?
I was just curious what you thought.
No,
you've seen it.
All right. What do you got, brother?
So Jake Paul's Combat Sport Promotion, Most Valuable Promotions, or MVP, just revealed the rest of their MMA card for May. And I honestly think the UFC should be worried. Let's go through what Netflix has first. Obviously, we have Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. I already made a video about this specific fight, but I'm surprisingly interested in this fight. Sure, Gina hasn't fought in almost 17 years, Ronda hasn't fought in almost 10, but this fight intrigues me. I don't think it's going to go the distance, and Ronda doesn't like getting hit, and Gina has some crazy power in Muay Thai striking, where I can see her get Holly Holm out over again.
And try and keep distance and keep far away from me and get me frustrated and to a point I'll make a mistake and she can try and kick me in the head, but it's not going to go like that. Not the way that she wants.
Ronda's in trouble. She's hurt.
But I can also see Gina getting taken down and submitted because Ronda genuinely has some great grappling. If it stays on the feet, it's Gina's game. If it goes on the floor, it's Ronda's game. This is some crafty veteran stuff right here. Me, excited for a WMMA fight? A main event, no less? Hell yeah! Also, those weigh-ins are gonna go crazy. Not long after that was announced, Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lens was also announced. A bit of a mismatch, honestly. Look, the name value of Francis Ngannou is great enough. Name, competition, and Ngannou's personality itself and controversy can all be called into question, and it's been discussed to death. But Francis Ngannou is the lineal heavyweight champion. Sure, he's fighting a light heavyweight basically, but again, Francis Ngannou's name on this card is great. Nate Diaz versus Micah Perry is the featured fight, which could have easily been the co-main on this card. This fight is going to be an absolute scrap, a BMF kind of fight. The perfect kind of fight that everyone knows hands are going to be thrown and blood will be flying. The arena is going to go crazy, the broadcast is going to go crazy, and the highlights will be posted everywhere. A bare-knuckle champion versus a BMF fighter. Crafty matchmaking from MVP there. But I know what you're thinking. What does the undercard look like? And honestly, it looks pretty good. They have Muhammad Mokaev, who is considered one of the best flyweights in the world, who even beat Manel Kape, who has an upcoming #1 contender fight against Kyoji Horiguchi, and just knocked out the man who just went to war with the current flyweight champion, Joshua Van, not even a year ago. Muhammad Mokaev was cut from the UFC for getting into fights and things that were honestly his fault, but he's definitely grown as a person from that experience, and he's only 25. His opponent, Adriano Moraes, who is a little older at 38, but is also considered one of the best flyweights on the planet, who even knocked out Demetrius Johnson, the flyweight GOAT for those who don't know, in one championship. Sure, he did end up losing the trilogy and going 1-2 against DJ, but still making it competitive. This just shows that the matchmakers for MVP know what they're doing. Not just casual, but real high-level fights. It's a shame that it's only 3 rounds instead of 5, but it will probably be 3 of the highest level rounds on this card. MVP, PFL, UFC in the Apex with an unranked heavyweight co-main. I would check this fight out anywhere, and I am really excited. But wait, there's more. They even have a heavyweight fight with Junior Dos Santos versus Robeles de Spain. Crafty veteran fight here. Junior is a little older, but I won't lie, this does just add more name value to the card, and another fight to look forward to. They even have Aline Pereira, who's Alex Pereira's sister, who is also making quite a name for herself on the scene. They even have some fights that look like they'll be interesting after just minimal research, like Larkin versus Jackson and Parnis versus Cross. So, overall, we have one of the highest level MMA fights outside of the UFC, a guaranteed scrap, then followed up with what is most likely an explosive heavyweight knockout, and headlined by a main event with 2 celebrity MMA fighters, Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey. There's a little bit here for everyone, to be honest. The casual, the hardcore, the random person scrolling on Netflix who goes, oh, Ronda Rousey, I know that name. Lately, I feel like all UFC events haven't even been real events that I would have tried to get my friends to watch with me, but this MVP card looks like the kind of card you want to show to your friends to get them into MMA. This directly competes with the UFC, who on the same day will have Arnold Allen versus Mikuzo Acosta, which is honestly an amazing fight, those who know. But honestly, it looks like the UFC doesn't really have anything in response to that day apart from an Apex Fight Night. MVP's card pretty much competes with anything the UFC has going on that month. Even UFC 328 with Chimaev versus Strickland. Don't get me wrong, it's a great main event, but after Chimaev's latest stinker with DDP and the usual Strickland fights, there's some caveats here, and honestly, this whole card isn't particularly stacked. Paramount should pick up the pace, as the one good thing about MVP's card is that it will get more people into MMA. They'll watch this, get super invested and super interested in the product, then they'll go over to Paramount to watch more MMA events. So the UFC is going to have to lock in even more and put on better fights, cards, and events worth watching. And look, I know there's a bit of beef between the two streaming services lately over Warner Bros. Seems like Netflix is pissed at Paramount for snatching Warner Bros. From them, so Netflix decides to spend millions on these MVP card just to piss out Paramount. And it looks like Paramount dick-mugged Netflix over Warner. And it looks like Netflix is dick-mugging Paramount over MMA. Hey, Paramount executives, if you're watching this, me personally, I wouldn't let that slide. I've seen online that people have been complaining about this card, and I know there's a fair amount of UFC bootlickers out there who will get hyped over fucking Moicano versus Duncan and the Apex. But I can honestly see the viewpoints. I can see it. These fights are a bit old. Most of these fighters aren't that, and I'm just objectively speaking here, relevant anymore, apart from a couple of fighters. To the average person, maybe a lot of the names in the Undercard may not even be that known, but the same thing applies to the UFC cards lately, so come on. I will say this one thing, I don't think this card comes close to the UFC White House card. Sure, the White House card may be underwhelming, understacked, underdelivered, and overall just not what was promised to us over the course of almost a whole year, and I did make a whole video with my whole thoughts on it, but overall the card is still good. Topuria and Pereira on the same card is amazing. MVP's card may not be UFC 300, but it's still really good. I have faith that this will turn out to be surprisingly great. And this card does nothing but benefit us as MMA fans. It will force the UFC to do better, and when the UFC puts out the numbers, because in all honesty, MVP's card will probably be the most watched MMA event of all time, it will force Paramount to make sure the UFC improves their product, maybe by giving us less weekly Apex slop and stacking cards more and hiring less fighters, but signing bigger talents. I will concede one thing. I am aware that the UFC is funding the whole White House event themselves, so that might explain why we're not having that much good cards, because they're saving all their money for that. But come on! It is almost a complete net positive for the MMA space. And from what it looks like, the fighters are getting a good payday out of it too. And hey, if MVP can make fights that even the UFC couldn't make, I'll be there day one.
And I was like, wait a second. This timeline is very, very interesting. December of 2024, last pay-per-view, 2025. Wait a second. Do you remember that press conference in Tampa at the very end of the year, December of 2024, when Dana White dropped a hint and a tease of what was to come next year, something that we could have never imagined that came out of the blue? Do you guys remember this? In case you forgot, take a listen.
I anticipate a lot of big fights. I got something in the works right now. I'll drive you fuckers crazy. All you guys will be running around. I got something in the works that you will never fucking see coming for 2025. That literally started to come together last night, and yeah, we got some fun stuff coming up.
We finally got the answer to that mystery. We finally figured it out. It was that fight. It was Ronda versus Gina. That was the one.
Look, we just need something like this once in a while. Something fun to look forward to and enjoy. We get caught up in the discussion about title fights, contention, quality of UFC cards. I think it's just nice to have a card once in a while to just watch and enjoy and have fun. We need things like this. We need this kind of competition and another promotion out there that's doing the same thing but a little bit different. And hey, maybe it does crash and fail and doesn't get more than one event. But I think there's something more beautiful about a star trying to shine as bright as it can and dimming just as fast, because then it at least tried. Anyways, what do you guys think? Is this card actually overrated? Am I secretly an MVP plant? And will you be watching Ronda and Gina weigh-ins? Because I know I will. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. I'll see you 50 casuals in the next one. Peace!
What the fan base in MMA is missing is fun and celebrity, and yes, some high-stakes stuff too, you know, but they can't do all the high-stakes stuff. They can't pull John Jones in and have John Jones fight Francis. Like, we're not going to get that, right? But they can do the other stuff. Like, dude, the MMA fan base is hurting for a night that just feels super fun. That just feels like there's a little bit of electricity in the air, a little something different in the air, a little something cool, a little something unusual, a little something irreverent. I don't know if this card will actually give you that in the end. I hope these fights stay booked and we don't have injury substitutions. We'll see. I think it's a fun card.